Before we can jump into learning Nuxt, we first need to get set up with our code project here. Now, I've been using PNPM to develop this project, and if you want to install it yourself, there's some good documentation on the PNPM website. There are many different ways to install it depending on your system and what you like. So I won't go through that here, but I'll let you figure that out for yourself. It's very straightforward, and this documentation is very well written. If you prefer to use Yarn or NPM, that will work fine as well. All of these package managers use the package.json, so they are compatible. The only difference is that this repository comes with a PNPM lock file, but that shouldn't matter too much for our purposes. Once you've got PNPM installed, or the package manager of your choice, we now want to install Nuxt. On the Nuxt.js docs, we see Nuxt being used as a hot-loaded script using PNPM DLX. What this does is it downloads the script and then executes it, as opposed to it being a tool available locally on your machine. This works great, but it is a bit slower, and I prefer to have it installed globally myself. So if you want to do that, you can use the command pnpm install Nuxt and add the -g for the global tag. And then if we run Nuxt, we can see that it's much faster and we don't have any output from it downloading. And as an aside, this autocomplete prompt that I have here is from a tool called Fig. I've been using this autocomplete for a couple months now, and it's very helpful in being able to expose the different options, commands that tools are giving you. Because normally on the command line, you don't know what the different flags and options are, but with Fig, you get to see that there's all of these different options and different things, and you can, you don't need to use the documentation as much. And so that's very helpful, but totally optional. You do not need to install Fig or use something like this in order to do the course, but it is a great tool if you want to use that. Now that we've got our tools, the next step is to download the code for the course. And we'll come over here and grab the SSH string. Then make sure that you're in the folder that you want to put this repo, and we run git clone, and then we'll paste in that. So the next step is to check out the correct commit for the lesson that we want to work on. So in order to do this, we'll grab the hash of the commit. If we run git log one line, first I have to go into our directory. And then if I run git log one line, we get a list of all of the commits in this branch. So we want to start at the beginning, so we'll copy this hash and then run git checkout-b, and we'll put in the branch name and then paste in the hash. And now we can see that we're on a branch where we're starting from the beginning. And so once you've done this, you're good to go to start on the next lesson. But before we end, I want to show you something quick so that you can experiment and play around with this Nuxt app as we go through the course. In my mind, experimenting and playing around with something is the best way to learn it. So I highly encourage you to do this in between lessons. Perhaps you go through the lesson on Nuxt Link, and that really interests you, and so you want to play around with it some more. Feel free to add in code and hack around on the project. Then when you want to come back and continue on from where you left off, you can just pull out the appropriate commit. So let me show you how to do that. We'll go back to our main branch. We'll run git log one line again. And so let's say that we went through navigating with Nuxt Link, and then you started hacking away, and now the repo is kind of in a messy state and you don't know how to get it back to where we left off. That's totally fine. All you need to do is say, well, okay, I left off on 1.9, so then let me start over from that commit. Each of these commits includes what we went through in that lesson. So 1.9 includes the changes from that lesson. So if we wanted to continue with 1.10, we need to go to the one before it. So we'll grab that hash. We'll do the same thing as we did before. Now if we look at our git log, we'll see that we're on a branch that includes all of the changes from the different lessons up into 1.9. So now we're able to dive right back into the course, starting with lesson 1.10, and continue on our way. The last thing that we need to do is to actually install all of our dependencies. So with pnpm, we do that with pnpm install, but we need to make sure to add the shamefully hoist option. And once we've done that, we're good to go. Now we're able to start learning Nuxt 3.